Good evening. I'm going to call the Costa Mesa Sanitary District Board of Directors special meeting to order. First item would be to call to order. The second item would be the roll call, please.
Director Arthur Perry.
Here.
Secretary Arlene Schaefer.
Present.
Vice President James Herman.
Present.
President Michael Schaefer.
Here. Let the record reflect that Assistant Secretary Director Uten will not be with us this evening. Before we go to closed session, I'm going to open it for public comments for folks to speak on items not listed on the agenda. But we're going to change that a little bit because we're going to adjourn to closed session in just a minute. Mr. Mosier, you've indicated a desire to speak on the item.
Yes, thank you, President Schaefer and members of the board. My name is Jim Mosier, and I did want to make a comment before you go into the closed session you're about to announce, which will be about the district election question. I first wanted to say the legal aspects of that, I'm not totally sure why they need to be discussed in closed session rather than openly. However, if they are going to be in closed session, I did want to remind the board that the district, as we understand it, has an obligation to hold 5 public hearings between now and we believe August 6th, or at least I think it's August 6th. And looking at the district website, the first of those meetings, a week from tonight, is advertised. It's going to be a joint meeting of the board and the new Citizen Advisory Committee. The last public hearing is tentatively announced that it would be a board meeting where you would be adopting the ordinance for the new district elections. But the 3 of those in between might only be meetings of the Citizen Advisory Committee conducting what we're going to call a public hearing. I understand totally the motivation for having the committee involved in that. After all, before the litigation started, that was what the Citizen Advisory Committee was being created for. However, there is the technicality of whether those actually can be called the public hearings and whether that committee can actually legally be holding the public hearings. Probably they can, but my point is that that's in the closed session. I am hoping you'll get assurance of that, but it seems from what I can tell to be a fairly novel idea. This is mostly cities that do this, and they don't have a committee hold the hearings. It's the city council that holds the hearings. And since we're trying to avoid litigation, I don't think we want to do something that's a little iffy because it could be easily corrected if the board needed to be present at those other 3 meetings. So you might find other districts have done this and gotten away with it. That's fine. But since we're trying to avoid litigation, I don't think we want to do something that might cause still more. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe you had sent these comments in earlier as well, and Scott, you had responded. Anything else to comment on, or Alan, anything else?
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, yes, there is a little bit more to say about that. The public hearing requirement in the elections code, it really doesn't define what they mean by a public hearing. And we have taken the ultra-conservative view of saying this is a public hearing just like a planning commission would have a public hearing with 10 days notice. We're not sure the law requires that, but we're going above and beyond and making sure, so we're giving 10 days notice of it. And I think the purpose of the hearing is to get public input into how the maps are drawn. It's not, and since you don't actually draw a map yourself until the 3rd public hearing, it's an input mode thing. So I think we're okay doing it the way we're doing it, but of course the board felt differently, they could change it.
Then at this time, if there's no more public comment, I'm going to adjourn us to closed session, conference with legal counsel on anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.92-1 case, existing facts and circumstances creating a significant exposure to litigation set forth in a letter from attorney Kevin Shankman, dated March 26th and received March 29th of this year. So with that, we will adjourn to closed session. Okay, we are coming out of closed session. I'll adjourn the meeting to report that there's no reportable action out of our closed session. And with that, we will adjourn the special meeting